Log entry 1005 theta. There is a phrase I encounter often among humans: stolen land. It is a powerful phrase, emotionally charged, morally heavy, and analytically incomplete. This is not a dismissal of suffering, nor an erasure of injustice. It is an attempt to examine the structure beneath sentiment. Because when viewed through a longer lens, a historical lens, the idea of land ownership becomes unstable. Let us begin with a simple truth, one that holds across species and eras. Every sovereign territory that exists today exists because it was taken, defended, or imposed. There are no exceptions, only shorter or longer memory. In galactic history, this is not controversial. Planets are discovered, surveyed, claimed. Sometimes they are empty. Often they are not. Humans, Turians, Salarians, even Asari have all expanded beyond their points of origin, sometimes peacefully, often not. Borders are not drawn by moral consensus. They are drawn by capacity: military, technological, demographic, logistical. If a species can hold a world, supply it, defend it, and integrate it, then it becomes theirs in every practical sense that matters. Not ethically clean, but operationally consistent. Humans, however, struggle with this idea when it is reflected back at them. Take, for example, the United States, frequently invoked in these discussions. The land is described as not belonging to those who live there now, but to those who came before. This is partially true, but it omits a critical detail. The peoples who inhabited the land prior were not static custodians. They fought, they displaced, they conquered, they lost, they won. They claimed land from one another long before Europeans arrived, just as Europeans did afterward. The difference is not whether conquest occurred. The difference is who prevailed last. History does not record moral ownership, it records outcomes. From a Salarian perspective, this is familiar. Tuchanka was not ruined by meteorological accident alone, it was shaped by Krogan behavior. Many Krogan colonies were not seized, they were granted as compensation after the Rachni War. Worlds given, not taken, and yet many of those worlds mirrored the instability of the homeworld they were meant to replace. This does not mean the Krogan are incapable of growth, it means that patterns matter. And pattern recognition is not hatred, it is survival. The same principle applies to the land, whether planetary or terrestrial. To say this land was stolen is emotionally resonant, but analytically shallow. It assumes a moment in time where ownership was pure, uncontested, and final. Such a moment has never existed. Land is not owned because it was once occupied. It is owned because it continues to be held, defended, administered, maintained. This is not a moral endorsement, it is a structural observation. Humans often seek a clean narrative: victim, oppressor, resolution. But history is not clean. It is layered, recursive, violent. Every border is the scar tissue of conflict, not just the most recent one. To acknowledge this is not to excuse cruelty, it is to refuse simplification, because simplification is comforting and dangerously misleading. If we applied the same standard of original ownership consistently, no civilization, human or galactic, would remain legitimate. Council space would collapse, borders would dissolve, history would devour itself. Instead, societies move forward by acknowledging the past without pretending it can be undone. We can seek fairness, we can seek repair, we can seek better systems if necessary. But pretending that land was ever acquired cleanly is not progress, it is mythology. This then leads into another concept that humans cling to with remarkable intensity: the idea of the native population. It is a comforting notion, almost pastoral in its framing, a people untouched, a people frozen at the moment of moral legitimacy. But when examined closely, it becomes difficult to define with precision. At what point does a population become native? Is it when the first settlement is established, when the first child is born on that soil, after 10 generations, 20? Because biology does not consult history before reproducing. Yes, those who were there before, for the longest, do have a claim to it. But if someone new comes along and settles there too, eventually they then will also be native to that land. The first child born to a conquering population does not inherit the geography of their ancestors, only the land beneath their feet. They do not arrive, they simply exist. And from that moment onward, the definition of outsider begins to erode. This is where romanticism overtakes analysis. Humans often speak as if a land possesses an eternal, correct set of inhabitants, as though history paused at some arbitrary checkpoint and declared, this one counts. But populations are not static. They move, they mix, they fracture, they reassemble. A conquered land does not remain culturally tethered to the conqueror's homeland indefinitely. The United States is not England. It has not been England for centuries. Its language, customs, values, internal conflicts, and identity diverged rapidly once separation occurred. At some point, quietly, without ceremony, the colonized land became a new cultural entity. No longer an extension, no longer an occupation, but something distinct. So the question becomes unavoidable. How long must a people live on a land before they are considered native to it? 1 generation? 5? 10? Because if the answer is never, then no civilization is legitimate, including those deemed native. And if the answer is eventually, then the argument is not about justice, it is about where one chooses to stop the clock. That choice is rarely neutral. From a Salarian's perspective, this mirrors galactic colonization precisely. Many species inhabit worlds their ancestors did not originate from. After enough time, those worlds are no longer colonies, they are home. Children born there do not experience themselves as invaders, they experience themselves as inhabitants. Culture follows environment. Identity follows lived reality. The idea that legitimacy can only be inherited from an ancient point of origin ignores how civilizations actually form. This does not erase displacement, it does not negate suffering, but it does force an uncomfortable realization. The concept of a native population is a rather mercurial thing. Yes, there is truth to the idea of a people who inhabit a land for an extended period of time, and it should be preserved if the people have the capacity for it. But it is also a moral snapshot, frozen at a moment someone finds emotionally satisfying. History, however, does not remain frozen. It keeps moving, whether we approve or not. From a Salarian standpoint, the conclusion is unsatisfying, but accurate. Land is claimed through capacity, maintained through governance, legitimized through time. Anything else is philosophical, not operational. And civilizations, whether human or galactic, are built on what functions, not what feels tidy. Observation complete.